everybody, and welcome back to You Can't Win. This is Tom here, and I'm joined by Don as usual. Today we have returning guest Goatstein, and we are going to be talking about cruelty and cancel culture, and maybe go over the Derek Chauvin, George Floyd stuff a little bit too. But first, let's check in with Goat. How you doing, Goat?
I'm good. I've got all vaxxed up. My autism has hit a stack overflow, so now I can't do math anymore, and I just love beer. So
That's cool. You got the second one?
I've not gotten the second one yet. Pretty soon, here in Massachusetts. What's up, baby? Yeah, we got the highest death rate of if it was an independent state. What's up?
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah, what's going on with that? Do you know why that is?
Population density.
Sure.
The Irish, I blame, generally. I don't know. I'm not a...
Living in those big tenements.
I'm not a fucking epidemiologist, but as always, I blame the Irish.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that, I guess. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got my first shot last week, and I don't know. I felt fine, no weird symptoms or didn't feel ill or anything like that, but I guess it's the second one that really is supposed to do you if you do get sick.
I felt fine until I decided that I was a girl and that I love Bill Gates, but that might be unrelated.
That's legal now. That's Biden's America.
Absolutely.
So what type did you get?
I got the Pfizer first, and that reminds me, I got a lot of responses to I got a mad decent 5-figure retweets of apparently less than a week from today is when goblinization happens, which in Shadowrun occurs on April 30th, 2021, where about 10% of the population becomes orcs, trolls, or goblins, and I get a bunch of people who reminding me like. Is this the Pfizer slash Johnson & Johnson discrepancy? And if so, I hope so, because, I would...
Yeah.
Obviously, alright, so Tom, you're the only one I have to ask this. Would you prefer to be an orc, a troll, or a goblin? I know what Don's answer is.
I don't know all that much about the differences between the two. Orc, troll, or goblin. I feel like trolls are bigger.
Yes.
Orcs are really stupid. Goblins are also really stupid, right? They're all fairly low intelligence creatures, right?
Yes, trolls, goblins are smaller and more, kind of.
Yeah, which seems more like that matches with my personality more, I think. But if I get to just choose, I feel like troll gives me the most capability to kind of do what I want in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it.
Big clubs, controlling bridges,
Get the nice
so I'll go troll.
Factor. Okay, yeah, I think we're all trolls here. That's down. Speaking of which, I was thinking about my original pitch for when I was coming on this show was to Dawn was that we should do a word for word remake of an episode of Come Town. And obviously I would be Nick because I'm the most physically fit and the cruelest. But I was kind of wondering which ones you guys think you would be. Because the way you can agree or disagree, but I was thinking maybe Tom is like Adam because of the weird belief in a God but not Jesus somehow. But maybe you have other opinions.
Yeah, I suppose. We got a question a while back where someone said that I was I had the brain of Nick and the body of Adam, and that what did they say about you, Don? That you had the body of Stav and the brain of Adam, something like that.
Yeah, that's punishing, but okay, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst combination you can get.
Oh well. Yeah. I don't know. So about Massachusetts again, was it big time lockdown like other states? Did they enforce it pretty rigorously, or was it one of those things where I feel like in rural Massachusetts or something like that, they would be like, we're not following those rules. I don't know. So that's my impression. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, a lot of the post-left guys on the Twitters have decided that, the backing up the all of no matter what state you're in, all of the lockdown procedures were negligible and not sufficient, I would say. So yes, Massachusetts was more locked down than say Florida, but if you look at like compared to Australia, New Zealand, China, Vietnam, it's all there was a Chinese guy who was responding to Chen Weiha, that guy, Chinese reporter who does the dunks. It's like, yeah, you criticize us for doing a genocide on the Uyghurs, but meanwhile 700,000 of you are dying in the streets. Like, yeah, you got a point there, man. Sorry.
Wait. China. I mean, whose fault is all this in the first? China doesn't get to throw mud around like that. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, they did their best, honestly. Like, it's not their fault we suck so goddamn
They just
bad.
took some collateral damage on their bioweapon. I mean, they don't get to gloat about us. Like, they launched an attack on American citizens. I mean, this is not... They don't get to blame us for this. This is like people blaming the Muslims for 9/11 when we all know what really happened there.
Yeah, I mean... You say that it's collateral damage from their bioweapon. I would say that I would criticize them. You're obviously praising them, so whatever.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. Is Wuhan, like that region, is that a... I don't know anything about... I don't know anything about China, period. But so is that area like a wealthy area? Like, is it an area that is underdeveloped? Like, what's the...
I have no idea.
Does anyone know?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a major city though, so it's like,
Yeah.
I think the origin they think is like, well, if it's from that region, whatever, then it would be, it's like a wealthy area within the region at least. So yeah.
And it's China. Like a major city in China is, I mean, like a minor town in China is like twice the size of Boston. So who knows?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do just want to say real quick about the whole bioweapon thing. If it does turn, I know there's theories that like that this was actually originally like an American bioweapon and all that. If that turns out to be the case, then I'll kind of just adjust my perspective on this and say that it's really like a remarkable example of American ingenuity and how effective we are, at developing this kind of technology. So
that's one thing that I've been thinking about for a while is that whether or not something is a conspiracy theory has a very large amount to do with who that theory indicts. Like if you want to say, oh, it's a Chinese bioweapon, I'm not saying one way or another I believe either side, but if you want to say it's a Chinese bioweapon, that's something that is supported by 60% of the American Congress, whereas if you say it's an American bioweapon, then you're just a fucking crazy person, even though there's about the same amount of evidence for either side.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I think the most likely, if it is some kind of bioweapon thing, it seems like it was a joint kind of effort. Like it was made by Americans and Chinese both. So when we come together, there's nothing we can't do.
Yeah. Presaging the future unity between the two countries. Yeah. So, so you wanted to talk a little bit about the George Floyd stuff?
Yeah, so...
Hey, hold on. Before we get into that, let me just go pee real quick. Sorry, I just got
no problem.
Urge to pee. So before we jump into
Jesus Christ, all right, so this is all going to get cut. So I'm going to say right now, President Assassination, Ceramic Gun.
Yeah.
One, Operation Mongoose.
Tom can't it's Ramadan, so Tom can't drink until like 9 p.m. or something, or 8 p.m. or something. So I guess he overdoes it. I don't know, but I don't know. He's got to fast all day, which I find that, like, I don't know, not being able to drink water during the day too would be, I don't know, very difficult for me.
Yeah, that part is kind of difficult. I think I could probably go for like 8 hours without eating, but I gotta drink my damn water, man.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, are there Muslims who are like use the fake disability thing to get out of Ramadan, like on like all the Munchausen's Twitter people?
There may be. I don't know. That's a funny idea. I have never encountered that or heard of that, but that's a funny idea. Because there are exemptions. Like, you don't have to necessarily fast if like you have medical issues, or, you know, like if you have diabetes and you need shots and all that kind of stuff. Like that kind of exempts you from fasting.
Did they just they just add that as an option for all the black people? This is still being cut, right?
Yeah, well, speaking of being cut, I mean, I said I had to go use the bathroom. I actually had to go scream into a pillow a few of my favorite words when I was reminded of the travesty of injustice that has just occurred.
Which
injustice? Well, the Derek Chauvin.
All right. All right. So let's pause. 3, 2, 1. All right. So lead me back into Derek Chauvin. We're going to cut all the things where I said that were racist.
Well, I kind of liked my joke. I think we're going to keep that.
All right, fine. So anyway, Derek Chauvin. I don't really have too much to say about him specifically, or George Floyd, or that whole situation. But it did remind me of something, and this is very internet-brained, but, you know, experience is what it is. I first became aware of just how deeply entrenched racism was in America from internet forums about the killing of Trayvon Martin. Now, I was not a naive. I knew that, you know, some people were racist and, you know, they were off somewhere and maybe the cops were racist. But the thing that really created a different concept of what American racial politics was for me was reading all these people who, when Trayvon Martin got killed, they had no ability to empathize with the other side. They were all on the side of the, you know, crazy person who's chasing the kid down with his car, and nobody could even begin to sympathize with the, you know, you're a kid, you're in an unfamiliar neighborhood at night, and, you know, some random weird car is chasing you, and who knows who started the fight that ended in him getting shot, but that is just the fact that nobody could even begin to see it from the other way was really the idea, like, oh, these people are all psychos. These people are all deeply committed to the side of, like, if a black guy is fucking me up, that means that I have the right to kill him, even if I was antagonizing him. And the beginning of the film Get Out was maybe that's changed. The beginning of the film Get Out was from the perspective of that other side, where it's like there's this random dude who's being followed by a random car at night, and he's, you know, trying not to start shit. And obviously it's not the same. They're not trying to pull out his brain. But that kind of speaks to the kind of horrifying idea behind it. It's like you're just walking along, you're minding your own business, and somebody's just following you for no apparent reason. And if you know, try to defend yourself, if you try to, like, confront him, then you get blown away. And the system will accept that.
Yeah, it's sort of like the kind of terror we all felt when the knockout game was going on, and we all kind of had to watch our backs and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as Derek Chauvin goes, I mean, obviously there's not a lot more to say there. I'm glad it went that way, and you see people on Twitter being like, "Oh, 46% of Republicans think it was, you know, the wrong decision." Like, yeah, it's actually pretty good considering how fucking psycho those people are.
Yeah.
And I don't mean they're psycho because they're Republicans, and this is something I want to get into more. I feel like it's kind of they have to be oppositional to that sort of thing, because what else do they have?
Yeah, like I feel like they're psycho because they're Americans and Republicans. So I don't know. I feel like I'll take the other side on that one. I don't know. They it's a, you know, you have to smash the first world to smithereens and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, these. And I actually feel like it's gotten a little bit better. Maybe it's just the crazy people online from the other side, but I feel like there has been a greater degree in, you know, accepting the fact that, yeah, maybe the cops aren't always right, and because you have to think, like, even just 10 years ago, yeah, the idea that a police officer could do something wrong and to the point that they need to go to jail for it was pretty much unheard of, even among the liberals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, even this summer and stuff, like, there was, a lot of people going like, look, this was a bad situation, but we shouldn't be rioting and all that kind of stuff too. And in a way that made it seem like, I don't know, it did make it like almost like a turning point kind of thing, like where you could see that it was building up to this maybe in some way. Although I don't know, I find it kind of strange because we put so much meaning into one result, and I guess that's true to some extent, but I don't know, like, it's just these things can go either way lots of the time, and I don't know, we kind of build narratives around these little moments that I don't know if, like, that actually plays into how the jury sees things, and like it's as if the whole nation's watching and whatnot, and it's like, okay, but I don't know, it seems more like a cultural pivot than like something that actually resolves down into like what's happening in the country at large. I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, it's weird the way that, like, you're saying these trials kind of become like symbolic of things, and like whether he gets guilty or not guilty or whatever, it's like that's like indicting racism, like whether racism is good or bad or something. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, a little bit dangerous to do that, because a lot of time the public at large doesn't really have the real facts. It just becomes like this symbolic thing of like black guy killed by a cop in a kind of brutal and unjustified way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's like on trial that it's going to go the way that you want it to go, right? It's not necessarily going to be the case that like the thing, I'm not even saying like that out of like, oh well, the whole system is kind of like biased against minorities and is going to defend the cops like more often than not and all that kind of stuff. I just mean like sometimes these cases are not really the strongest cases. I think this one, it seemed pretty cut and dry, but sometimes it's not, and it can still be like a really tragic and unfortunate situation. And just because that one trial doesn't go the way that it should go, quote unquote, for in like that symbolic sense, I don't know. I just don't think that's like the best thing to like hang all your like to get too invested in that, because like it doesn't even really ultimately result in systemic change or anything like that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, on the other hand, what else you got?
Right. Yeah. No, I can understand that too. Yeah, for sure.
We've got Biden and we've got Kamala, and apparently I don't know. I follow this stuff more than I should, and people are saying they've done a really good job. And I mean, the vaccine rollout has been good, although I have no reason to believe that has anything to do with Biden. But yeah, it's like they're just going to keep running this crap the same way it has been forever, and we're just going to wait for the sun to explode and take us all.
Yeah. I actually haven't been too disappointed with Biden. I think I've just decided I just like presidents. Whoever our president is, I'm happy. I support him.
Yeah.
They're all doing a good job. It's a tough job,
Sure. I wanted to get back to the sort of like you were talking about, like that kind of that you saw a lot of the not being able to see the other side, and some of the very harsh attitudes people have towards the victims and things like that too. And it reminded me of that you've sort of re-encountered some of the stuff going on in Goons and Platoons. And I thought maybe we could talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, that was the classic subforum and Something Awful that was all about members of the forum who were vets or somehow related to the armed forces.
That was a great forum. I recently, Don also recently got unbanned from Something Awful. I've been intermittently going back there. Yeah, the audience, we're going to talk about forums here, so fucking take out your dicks. But the thing that always struck me about Goons and Platoons was that it was a containment strategy. It was a way to keep all of the most rage-addled psychos out of, they could talk about the pets, they could talk about science fiction, they could talk about books, they could talk about politics, but they were all clustered in a certain area where like nobody had to listen to dead towel head jokes while they were talking about their new puppy. And Guns and Platoons is not even, this is something I've learned over the years. This is not something that is special or even anomalous. Pretty much any forum or place on the internet to discuss the military or the police is like Goons and Platoons. It's all a bunch of dumb psychos who exist to back each other up, and if they're leftist in any way, and that's the thing that has always bugged me, if they're leftist, they're leftist because they didn't get enough pills to make their victims' screams go away entirely. How unfair that is for them.
Yeah. I hate the whole leftist troop, like archetype or whatever. That kind of
like we've talked on this show many times, and I don't want to keep going back to it. We've talked on the show many times about Lee Carter, the ginger dipshit troop, and I don't want to keep going back to him because, he's fine as far as those things go. But when it comes to being a leftist troop, it really is just like, me and my friends, we went to Iraq, we, did terrible things, and then when we came back, they didn't give us enough free health care forever.
Right.
And, if you're a nice person and a socialist, you want to say, yeah, maybe we should take care of these fucking vicious dogs forever because, we put them there.
Yeah.
But as far as me and a person who is, how do I phrase this, not sympathetic to them, I feel like it's like, yeah, well, you're the Joker's minions. Fuck you. How dare you think that you have any claim to anything?
Right.
Yeah. Well, it blew me away that it seems that like the forum is still in its, like, I remember from, I don't know when it started, maybe like 2004, 2005 or something, maybe a bit later, but like it still seems to be, from what you showed me, pretty similar to what it was 10, 15 years ago or something. So
that's another interesting thing about troops is and their internet presence is that either due to stupidity or due to being deployed or whatever, their memes are 5 to 10 years behind the rest of us. So they are still doing I Can Has Cheeseburger in like 2018. I don't know why that is, but it is the case that is what's going on.
Goons in general also seem to be a little bit behind the times. It's kind of like they were ahead for it reminds me of like aging rock bands, like from like the 90s or the 80s or something like that. Like they kind of had a thing going for a while and they just can't get past it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I started to feel like that the other day. Someone said that someone replied to me the other day saying that I'm easing into my boomer mindset years on Twitter and stuff, because I posted that I thought I would find it. I said I don't know if I'm ever not gonna find it weird to say pregnant people instead of pregnant women. Like that's just my just because I'm like old enough that like that just seems strange to me to say as a thing, and not even like not trying to use that as like a wedge against the concept or whatever. It just as like a thing, and people are like, oh yeah, you're on your way out now because you're past, you're gonna, within a few years you're gonna be, these kids these days kind of stuff. So I don't know. So
is that the
I
new
feel
thing
like
you have to do?
well,
Pregnant
I mean,
people? I haven't
there was a
seen
bunch.
this.
Yeah, because there was like a few articles came out that in Ontario that like pregnant people are allowed now to get the vaccine, and they were all carefully written so that like it didn't assume that pregnant people are women. And I was like, man, that's new to me, kind of thing, or something like that. That's it's not. I'm not even saying it's bad. It's just it's new to me. I don't know. So it's like that is kind of like a thing of like, I don't know. Maybe the people on the SA that were ahead of the curve for a bit are now, it's not our time anymore. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Sure.
The hated Zoomers.
Yeah. You had some stuff about that, about like cancel culture or something like that, or cruelty that you maybe wanted to get into too?
Yeah. So, getting back to that, so there was this is about a month ago. There was the trailer for Cruella, the new Disney movie about Cruella de Vil by starring Emma Stone. Yeah, there's too many goddamn Emmas. The point is that they were trying to rehabilitate this character who is known for just wanting to butcher puppies to make a suit. And if you go back and look at it, the original Cruella de Vil was a criticism of the fur industry. So how and why are they going to make this new character the protagonist? And essentially, she is just Lady Joker. She is a character who is beyond good and evil. She is a character who is, she says, I am woman, hear me roar. She's got that girl boss energy, but it's all about the power fantasy there is about being above the normies being able to cancel you. And I'd like to go more into that, about why that is such a powerful ascension, and why I feel like that's something that Donald Trump really tied into. So the thing about Donald Trump that I always thought resonated with his fan base and even people who didn't like him was that Donald Trump is the freest man who ever lived. Nietzsche talks about the last man, the man who is above shame. And he's, Nietzsche thinks that that's the lowest man, but I feel like it's like also the Ubermensch, the man who's beyond good and evil. Not in any metaphysical sense, but in the sense that, like, he's above all consequences. You can't cancel him. If you yell at him, he just does insult comedy at you. There's nothing that they can do about it. And that is an aspirational kind of idea to the people who like Donald Trump, is that like Cruella de Vil, he can do whatever he wants. And to people who feel constrained by society's pressures, and I feel like they should be constrained by society's pressures, generally speaking, but they don't feel that way. I feel like that's an aspirational kind of idea to them, where, I'm a bastard, but I can, you can't tell me what to do. The kind of toddler oppositional defiant disorder. And I feel like that's been in a lot of pop culture recently. The Joker is the same kind of thing for incel men. And the Cruella is that for girl boss young women who want, the normies don't understand how cool I am and I can do whatever I want because I have, this genius behind me about cutting up puppies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, yeah, he was so cool, man. I miss him so much.
Trump, he was. Trump was the only funny Republican, and that power was so strong that it made him president.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. we all miss him. Biden's funny, but he's funny in a way that like you kind of feel bad about, like when you see like a dude working at Subway who can't, you know, move his hands correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like that's the thing about cruelty and the way that our society works. I feel like the underlying idea is that in order to be free, you have to be cruel. You have to be able to be beyond the cancellation, to be beyond the idea that, you know, the opinions or the feelings of other people matter to me, and therefore I am free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't express your freedom unless it is at, you know, you're freely sort of abusing somebody else, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, reminds me of like gangster movie kind of stuff, or like gangster TV shows.
Sure.
Like stuff like around like, you know, you have some sort of strange internal code that matters to you about certain things, but then you're allowed to kind of do whatever you want on top of that. You know, it basically, and then, yeah, like you're sort of free from the constraints of people around you to, you can be ruthless in a way that, I don't know. I feel like maybe that even plays into some of the stuff you see on the left wing about like being like Stalin is epic and stuff like that, or something like Stalin as the guy that can't be canceled kind of thing, you know, or like a lot of the different political stuff, where people lean into the fact that, you know, I think that there's like a recuperation thing where people look at people who are reviled by society or something and then go, you know, actually they did a lot of good in their own way and had their own rules that they lived by and all that and stuff. And the strange thing to me though is that you go so far down that road that you end up internalizing that as if it's like true. I don't know, like to such a degree that, like, I don't know, it gets weird or something. I noticed this the other day when, you know, to sort of tie it with the other stuff too, is that where with like the Socialist Rifle Association or something has like 10,000 members now or something, and paid members, and they all, like, if you look through their like photos on Twitter and stuff of the different groups and stuff, it's just almost every picture is just like something like a Soviet flag with like 3 or 4 guns on top of it, and then a few books or something. And I don't know, it feels almost like it's like, okay, because gun culture is reviled by a lot of liberals, therefore we are, and communism is reviled by you know, a lot of far right people.
Everybody.
Yeah. So then we can patchwork together this new ideology where it's like, actually guns are really cool and we should stockpile them, but it's because for epic leftist purposes or something like that. So I don't know, I feel like that kind of like tailoring together and trying to be like badass or something, I don't know what it is. It's like trying to be like epic or something. I think that's why a lot of the Trump people were really big into like the memes and stuff early on and stuff. It's because, like, you know, it's trying to be like, you know, own the libs kind of stuff. So
Yeah, there's a weird thing that goes on with like these kind of memes and stuff, like the style of those pictures with the guns and stuff is obviously taking cues from the way that like troops or right wing, like militia sympathetic type folk would do, like with American flag or don't tread on me flag and their guns on top of that, and you know, that kind of thing. And I don't know, it's just weird, like you see this kind of go back and forth, like the left will sort of like look for fuel to kind of make themselves more badass by adopting stuff that the right wing has done, and the right wing will adopt stuff from the left. Like I think the whole like Pepe jokester Trump type stuff, a lot of that kind of was adopted off of I don't know, like the general internet culture around that, which was maybe not left wing exactly, but it was definitely wasn't like a right wing thing. You know, like a lot of weird Twitter people who were kind of pioneering that kind of humor were probably more left than right, I guess.
that whole thing with like, if we have guns, look at me, I've got a gun. Are you triggered? It's like, motherfucker, if you are a communist and you're posting pictures of just yourself with guns, you're just giving the CIA the information they need for you. If you believe what you actually believe, like, any day now they're gonna fuck you up. Like, but it's not about that. It's about, showing off. Like, just today there was a thing on Twitter about, the completely made up idea that Joe Biden's going to restrict you to 4 pounds of ground beef a year or something. And all the people are posting pictures of their, epic steaks. And it's just, just showing off, but at the same time being like, oh, I bet if, it's not just a thread like, hey, post the most recent steak you had. It's also got the additional, what's the word I'm looking for? The additional impetus of being like, yeah, if the libs saw me post my sweet new grill, they would be upset. And that's the same kind of thing. It's like, you can't cancel me. I'm going to kill all the cows I want. And there's nothing you can do about it, bitch. That same kind of thing where, like, the only representation of freedom is just being cruel and, like, being performatively cruel. The idea that, like, I can do whatever I want, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, even those food pictures, like, posting your fancy meal or something is like, remember when people used to, when Obama was in office and they made fun of him for, like, eating kale and stuff like that? Like, food culture is sort of like a lib sort of a thing, and I don't know, there's just like this weird borrowing from each side, and I think you're absolutely right that, like, you're expressing freedom by being cruel to the other side, but it's just weird that the two sides, it's like they're playing a game, they're like, they staked out their sides, and it's you're racking up points or something in your mind, like you're winning over your, I don't know if it's even like trying to advance the political goals. It just feels like zero sum or something. So as long as the other side hurts, then you are gaining, because that's the easier thing to do than to actually, like, achieve something, to work towards something.
That's something that I've thought a lot about what is politics anymore, and this is good for You Can't Win. It's like, if you're in politics, if you're interested in politics, you can't change anything. This is all, the die is cast. There's nothing you can do about it. What you can do is you can make a career out of talking about politics. And what you can do by that is accuse everyone else of being a sellout, or you can accuse everyone else of being a suppressive person. It's like, oh, you have too much SJW shit, you have too much woke shit. If you really want to, that's what Freddie DeBoer, who I generally like, but that's something that he's been on a big tip about recently, is like, oh, what have you accomplished? Like, okay, generally speaking, I would say it's a not relevant criticism to say, what have you accomplished? Because nobody's accomplished anything. But if that's your criticism, then what have you accomplished, motherfucker? And the answer is, he went to the crazy house. So what is the like, if you're going to criticize other people for having the incorrect politics, it seems to me that the reason you're doing that is that you're trying to build a brand in opposition to the people who you are mad about, and not that you're trying to accomplish anything, because you can't accomplish anything. There is no way that politics will be moved by your opinions. You're just staking out a position that will get you money.
Right. And we've talked about this in the past, like this idea of, like, the Herbaleft, where it's like a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme or something, where you're just siphoning people's energy that, like, they care about this, they want to, like, donate to support it, and what you end up donating to are these people that are just going to say the things that you agree with, but that's as far as it goes. You're just, like, promoting some media brand or something.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, I mean, even if you do agree with those people, even if you think those people are good and have the best intentions, there's a disconnect there between like, all right, this person has the right ideas and I believe in them and they're smart and good and I like them, but how's that going to do anything? And the answer is it's not going to, because we know how politics works. Politics works by you have a lot of money and you bribe a series of increasingly stupid representatives until you get the one that you want. And nobody wants to accept that. They think if you just yell enough about on Twitter about like cancel culture or anti-cancel culture or whatever, then you're going to get what you want. But in reality, it's just that person is trying to build their own brand.
Right. Yeah, it's just it's a really bad situation where the closer you can get to actually achieving things, the narrower the possibilities get. You know, so when you actually have some influence over like the levers of power, what you can do is like very, very, I mean, probably not even good things, but it can just like, you can push a little bit in one direction at the expense of like the costs are so high that you end up doing damage to your overall goal. Like if you have some goal for socialism or something, like, oh, well, we can get, you know, let's say some sort of healthcare reform or something, but actually what it means is like everyone has to pay health insurance that's like a scam and doesn't get you anything.
Right.
It's, you know, it ends up like being used as an excuse to cut other things and stuff. So it's just like a lose type of situation.
I'm not even necessarily talking about, I mean, I agree with what you just said, but I'm not even necessarily talking about like people who have their hands on levels of power. I'm talking about like Matt Iglesias. Like he's got a job forever where his job is like saying, oh, this, what the Democratic Party wants is the only thing that you can have. And that's essentially the best job you can get, is just, you can either have a job yelling at the Democratic Party or you can have a job defending them. And we know which one pays more. And nothing is going to change because that's all that we have. We have either yelling at them or defending them and yelling at each other.
Well, which one does pay more, do you think? I don't really know if I know which one that is.
Matt Iglesias makes like $30,000 a month off Substack from fucking weird nerds who have disgustingly shaped skulls who want to read about like municipal bus policy. So yeah, I'm sure he makes more money than even like, you know, Chapo or somebody else who's fairly caked up on the left. So yeah, he's got a career for life being a piss boy for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I guess there's probably more cash floating around the right-wing circuit. Like you have your foundations and your think tanks and stuff. And, you know, obviously like a lot of rich people are more interested in promoting right-wing kind of, especially economic ideas than anything left-wing, I guess. So.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, there's more money on the right, but I was kind of comparing the liberal position versus the left-wing position and who has more money there. Mm-hmm. Obviously the right has been funneling, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year since the 50s into a series of bow-tied dipshits who never did anything. But that's almost beside the point.
Yeah, and also into podcasts. Thank you, Peter Thiel, for supporting us.
Yeah, I feel like I would say I'm maybe one step less cynical than you two on this, maybe, where I feel like you can have an effect, but it's like such a small effect as an individual that it's more just, you know, looking at what the trends are and kind of whether or not you like them or not, you know, is more like a hobby kind of thing, right? Like it's like you're just watching these mega trends that are flowing around society, and you know, the possibility of being one of the people that actually influences that in like the inflection points is so low that it's basically like winning the lottery or something. And you know, there is maybe like some, you know, playing around money or something where you can influence small things here and there yourself if you put a lot of energy into it, but it's just the same as anything else. Like, you know, most people that try to start a business or something and try to do well with that, are not going to do well, or they'll just kind of get by or something. The chances of becoming a billionaire from it are pretty small. But it's sort of like that with politics too, where it's like, you can put all your energy into it and you can be an important person in that, but you got to just look at the statistics and probability of it, I guess, at some extent. Like, it's like, you can be involved, but like the idea that like tweeting about it is going to be the difference or something, or writing articles or anything like that. I think that's one reason why I find it hard to write anything that's like more serious sometimes, because I still haven't wrapped around my head around the idea that like it matters to some extent, kind of thing. Like I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I think that's my general take on that, is that it's pretty close to being as cynical, but I feel like if you treat it as like either just like a job you're doing or something, like you're just a person that does that, then I think that's fine. But like if you're treating it as okay, gang, here's what we're gonna do, then you're like, okay, well, no, you're not going to. So yeah.
There's that sign outside of fortune tellers that I am constantly reminded of, that just says, for entertainment purposes only. And that's kind of how I approach politics now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you want to make change, like you want to improve the world, like you can do that, but it just means you have to be realistic about your ability to do that. Like it's just not happening that you can change the lives of every American exactly the way you'd want it to be. What you can do is like help out in your community in some way, and that's not as glorious. It doesn't maybe feel as good. It takes a lot of effort. It's pretty thankless. And the people that do that kind of stuff, God bless them. That's not me. I'm just, talking shit on this podcast. That's what I do. But, there are people that do improve the world around them, and they have less of like in general, I think they have less of these like high-minded political aims and more of just like they see some suffering and they do what they can to alleviate the suffering, and it ends there. And I don't know. I think that's good. Like for that,
I disagree. That's bad.
Like, that's a I mean, like that's a healthy attitude.
Yeah.
When you were talking about organizers, and I don't honestly disagree with what you said, one of the great coups of marketing from the last 10 years is the rebranding of party apparatchik with organizer. Like you see so many people who have like the words organizer in their bios online, and it's like, who are you organizing? Oh, you're just a paid consultant for the Democratic Party, or Barack Obama's fake job before he became elected, where it's like, or before he became state senator. He's like, I'm a community organizer, and people, right wingers, who criticized me at the time, and they were right and I was wrong. You're like, what the hell is a community organizer? And like, it means he's organizing his community. No, you were right. He wasn't doing shit. He was just kind of sitting in a holding pattern until they had a job for him.
Yeah, organizers, it's like that Japanese lady that tells you to throw stuff out if it doesn't bring you joy. That's what that is, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, huge bomb. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. My microphone was actually off because I.
Oh, so you were laughing hysterically, right?
You can edit it out. Yes, I was laughing at your joke.
Okay.
But another thing I wanted to talk about was, do you guys remember the first time you were on forums when you're talking about?
Like just in general?
Yeah,
the first time I got on a forum? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It was in high school.
What was your experience there?
The first forum that I signed up for was a baseball computer game forum, and my first post was a all caps post. Now, mind you, I was like 13 or 14 at the time, but I was really pissed at how one player in the game was just like way overpowered, and it was just completely unrealistic. Like this guy would bat like 400 every season, when in reality he would bat like 220 and was like this utility infielder guy. And so it was like just a rant about that.
Did you get some
people told me to calm down?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the first actual forum I registered for was 2000, like, so it was probably something awful, and it was like my registration date on that forum was September 9th, 2001. And we've talked about this before, but like I was like thinking of getting into sort of like foreign policy, intelligence kind of stuff or whatever. Like I thought that'd be so cool. And I think that like my first day of school or something like that for a foreign affairs, like a second year course in politics about foreign affairs, was like September 10th or something like that, you know? And then, so that was my introduction to the Something Awful forum. And it was still free then. I mean, I ended up dumping a lot of money into accounts later, but it was like, this was just before it was also just before it became like really big political forum. For up until that point, it was mostly like flash games or something like that kind of stuff, like really like epic, you know, the robot pushing people down the stairs kind of jokes and all that kind of stuff. So
right.
I don't know, that was my introduction. How about you?
Well, my question is, like, what is the newer generation going to be? What is their first, like, online experience going to be? Because, like, you asked me mine, just briefly, mine was on the Fucked Company forums, and I was, like, 15, 16, obviously way too young for those sorts of things, but I learned a lot. Joe Biden voice. I learned a lot! And the reason why I brought that up was, like, what is the Zoomer or the post-Zoomer, my kids, what is their first idea about what it is to be online? And I feel like it's going to be just YouTube maniacs, streamers, and I feel like back in my day, we at least had the idea that that this was not serious. These people were all maniacs, and we should have fun, but not necessarily care about anything they did or said or who they are. And that's kind of the question I was going to posit to you guys, is like, how is that going to affect the next generation where they actually care about these people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of part of the social fabric now. Like, it's just part of a normal social life. You know, for us, it was this like almost shameful thing. Like, you were embarrassed. You would never admit it that you had like, you know, someone online that was like your friend. Like, you would have to explain that to somebody, and that was like a painfully embarrassing thing to explain. Like, yeah, this is someone that I talk to on my computer. I don't know who they are, but they're pretty cool. They showed me this like thing you can do in Doom, you know, you get all the weapons or whatever. Like, now it's just all your friends have social media. It seems like it's a big part of just regular social life. I think it's more similar to maybe the way things like MTV and just stuff like that was for us. It's just like TV stuff, you know, like that was just a normal thing. I think that's what the internet's like now.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that also there's something about like, I don't know. I think there's something about our experience too where it felt like most of the people that we were talking to didn't fit in some way, kind of thing too. Like, it wasn't just that it was weird that you were talking to someone on the computer. It was also that, like, at least for me, most of the people that I ended up talking to a lot were people that like either had like a lot of problems or something or whatever, or like there were people that like kind of found each other in different ways. That now I feel like it's more just everyone is online, so it's just I don't know if that sort of strange kind of thing where I don't know. I feel like a lot of the absurdity and stuff gets packaged into just the mainstream kind of products now or something like that. Like, you know, if you're on TikTok or something like that, a lot of it is just absurd content and stuff, but it's made by people who are really, really aggressively trying to cultivate absurd content or something like that for strange branding purposes or something.
You went a different way than what I thought you were going to go to. When it comes to the TikTok people, I find they're totally sincere, which is weird. I feel like if you're like making a goat cheese ice cream cannoli made out of string cheese online, I feel like those people are completely serious about it, and that's what's weird to me, is not that they're being ironic, it's that they're these kids these days, they don't realize the shame, as you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. We were just talking to Lex the other week, and his kid is like he said he talks in YouTube stuff, like and subscribe, sort of, like it's just how they talk, Well, I mean, I guess that's what you're saying. It's like sincere, but yeah, I don't know.
Country for old men.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I always, people get concerned about this kind of stuff, but I guess I have a little bit of faith in people to be able to like figure it out a little bit and like see through it. Like maybe not at large, like maybe the culture at large gets weird about it and stuff, but I think like individually, like you can trust people who are intelligent or just like have want more out of life than that to kind of like figure out ways to negotiate it in ways that are that they'll figure it out. Like we figured out that you don't have to be like a neckbeard living in your mom's basement collecting like anime figurines or whatever. You can use the internet to make fun of those people.
Wait, say what?
Yeah,
hold on.
I haven't really moved beyond that yet, but one day, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's a journey for everybody, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like there's the mass culture that builds up around it, but then there's like this counterculture thing too, where people are like, well, there's all this weird stuff about it, there's this stuff I don't like, and then they'll kind of find ways to push back and to make something else out of it too,
Mm-hmm.
Word.
Which can be good or bad. I mean, it can be a bad thing too. Like I think the alt-right, for example, is an example of people doing that in a way that, I don't know, at least the two of you probably disagree with.
What do you mean? You don't disagree with it? I feel like, the alt-right grew out of that same kind of culture that we did, where, I mean, you get a point there, Tom, where it's like they took irony to an extreme level, and they drove themselves insane from it, where it's like, I'm gonna pretend to be a Nazi to piss off the normies, and then you just go so far that you're like, oh yeah, well, I'm actually a Nazi now.
Yeah, well, their big like flaw was that they hung all their hopes on like an actual politician and stuff, which is like the worst move you can make. Like you have to be deeply cynical about everything to really succeed in the irony game, I think. Hence why us old farts are kicking around still, I guess, doing this.
Yeah.
Never stop posting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Put it on my fucking gravestone.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's do some questions. We'll start with this one. Hey, guys. I am a drunk, drugged, washed up, has-been that really wasn't. I was a warrior. I won the war I fought, but now I am washed up. I liked my shitty self-destructive lifestyle, but now I've got a job being a chief warrior and have to stop doing so much coke and tequila. Should I stop doing so much coke and tequila?
What war are you talking about, sir? I know he can't respond, but that is important to me.
Sure, yeah. I'm assuming it's some kind of, the greater jihad, the struggle against the self. We'll be charitable here.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's gotten you this far. So, I don't know. No, but I don't know. I feel like if you're asking, you want a way out. I don't know. If you're asking, you're looking for a reason to maybe take it a bit easier. I don't know. And, yeah, I don't know.
I was just going to say, Hunter Biden, go on You Can't Win podcast.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that we want you to have, like, some level of problems, or else you're not going to keep listening to the show or something, right? Like, we don't want you to get so good that you feel like you are winning. We want you to kind of...
With all due respect, I don't know. The way that was written, I don't know if we're in much danger.
Sure. Okay.
That happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. If you can't quit and you become a Muslim, then all the other Muslims will beat you with a shoe when they find out you're drunk, if they're following the hadith and stuff. So that could help. Just saying.
Yeah.
Does it specifically say a shoe, or can they beat you with whatever?
That was a thing that happened, and Muslims like to emulate exactly the way things were back in the 7th century. So that might be a thing that happens. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Have some investment advice for Tom since he wants to get into day trading. Put everything you have on Bitcoin and let it ride. One step ahead of you, bud. And I'm crying right now because Bitcoin dropped like 20% in the past few days.
Yeah. I on that topic, I had something to say. I listened to Goons and the general internet 10 years ago about Bitcoin, and now I'm not rich, so never listen to Goons.
Yeah, that's kind of what my lesson was, is like anything that comes around that seems really stupid is probably worth investing in. That's kind of like my impression. Is that like my gut instincts about these things are completely wrong. When I think something is like, oh, that's ridiculous, what a waste of money. Nope, that's what's going to blow up in 10 years. So put all of your life savings into it.
Yeah, it is funny. I was looking at old posts on it was like goons.text, whatever, on Twitter, and I looked at some of the Bitcoin ones, and it's people being like, you know, a lot of them are like the ones that were picked to make fun of are people being like, Bitcoin's going to be a big thing in the future and stuff like that kind of thing. And it's like, oh man,
yeah,
I don't know, like, or like the actual prices at the different times kind of thing. Like one guy being like, Bitcoin's going to go to $10,000 or something, and now it's at like 60,000 or something, or 40,000 or whatever it is. I don't know. And
it's 52,300 right now. I've been watching the charts this whole time.
Well, I actually have a friend IRL who is the worst of both worlds, because he was way into Bitcoin 10 years ago, but he tried to use it like as a currency to buy stuff. So he had Bitcoin, but he used it to like buy pizza and like DVDs. Yeah. So he spent like, or like weed. So he spent like $40,000 on an eighth. So.
Yeah, that's the thing about this stuff. The people that get really into like the utopian kind of dream about it, just use it. That's like the worst way to do. This is like something that you buy and you just don't touch, and then it ends up being worth tons of money for some reason later, and then you can get actual money from it. You know, you cash it out into dollars, which like have real use beyond pizza and weed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
although maybe you end up just spending the dollars on pizza and weed anyway, so I don't know. All right, ethical question for Dawn. A trolley is coming down the tracks. On one set of tracks is Gal Gadot, and on the other is the Pope. You can control which track the trolley ends up on. Whom do you save and whom do you kill?
I feel like the Pope would want me to sacrifice his life. You know, he'd be like, if we can save her life, then, you know, he would kind of like, and so I'm going to kind of say, okay, he would want that. And I feel like Gal Gadot has like so much stuff left to do in this life. Well, like
she
the Pope's
is much
like,
younger.
Yeah. So she has a lot left to give us in terms of performances. And
probably more followers on Twitter and TikTok and stuff too.
I'm going to have to check that. That's a good question. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like, yeah, that's the thing. And yeah, that seems the most appropriate. Or, I mean, maybe I could choose to make the train go over myself instead somehow. So that both of them could keep, so that the guy that's like 86 years old or whatever can live out the rest of his life.
Yeah, and then he gets so excited he gets a heart attack and dies after.
Yeah.
Curse of the Magi. The question is, though, the Pope is a much better actor. So does that key in?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this one here. First and foremost, all praise is due to Allah and blessings be upon His messenger, His family, and companions. Someone did that right for once. That's the correct way to do that. My question is, are you guys Donald, and Tomold, a gay couple?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to plead the fifth, but I will not confirm or deny what Goat has just said.
Well, that's an interesting question. If going back to slash fiction, what would be your slash name? Like they have, Buffy and Angel would be like Bangel. Would you be Tomold or would you be Don Slim? I don't know.
Tomold, I guess, is the one that makes sense to me. Otherwise, like if you're gonna go with Don and Tom, there's not much to do there. Like Ton or Dom.
Yeah, maybe like Get Finland or something like that.
Oh, Get Finland's pretty good. Yeah.
Baby Fiscal. Oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. There's a lot
out
of
here, guys. I'm getting too horny.
All right, a lot of people asking about Adam Curtis. We are planning to do a episode discussing Adam Curtis and the new documentary at some point. Maybe it might be a premium episode though, but it's just long, man. Like I watched 3 parts of it, and I'm like, okay, I get it, blah blah blah. But yeah, so I don't know. You can already kind of see what my opinion about it is, but yeah, we will do an episode about it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, especially like I watched the first 2 or so of them, I think, and all of it was stuff that most of it at least was like stuff that I'm very interested in general, kind of thing, like about the Cultural Revolution and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, we'll do it eventually, but it is also kind of, it's hard for me to just, it feels like homework or something at this point, kind of thing, where I'm like, I'm going to have to sit down and slog through the rest of this or something, kind of thing. So, I don't know. I feel like that with most media now. So, except for like maybe podcasts my friends make or something, but like anything else is like, I'm going to strap in and watch like, hours of this stuff. I don't know. It just feels like I would rather, be retweeting old goon tweets about Bitcoin or something. So, yeah.
Hey, if you want to just say like, yeah, we watched enough and do an episode about it, I'm okay with that. That's 6 hours of my life. I can
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Is it more virtuous to tell a panhandler, I'm so sorry from the bottom of my heart, I cannot spare a dime. Go with God, brother. Or to pelt him with wads of 20s while yelling, ha 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 ha, fuck you, stinking bum. Go rent a fucking apartment, clean up, and get a goddamn job, shitface.
So
it's an interesting question.
I think this story is in the Bible, so including that language. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I guess is the first one not true? Is it like you do have money, but you can give them? Is that like add a wrinkle to it? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. The other thing is like, panhandlers are all fake. They're all fakers. They're all just trying to trick you out of money, So
I do love that. That's one of my favorite white people myths is like all the panhandlers actually make like $200,000 a year.
Yeah, they all drive Ferraris.
Mm-hmm. Sounds dope, honestly. I should become a panhandler. My opinion on this is that do whatever Jesus would not do.
The old reverse Jesus, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say go with your gut. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I just do the first one.
When Tom gets arrested and sent to Guantanamo Bay, will Leo replace him? That's up to you, Don, obviously.
Yeah, hell is Leo?
Leo is one of our regulars who has been busy lately, so hasn't been able to come on. He used to be on FIAD. You may know him. I don't know. I don't want to dox his old names. I don't think he wants that, but I can tell you after.
The FIAD poster is a degenerate version of the Hell Dump poster. I could defeat him in single combat easily.
Oh yeah, you were never a Fiad guy, huh?
No, I was a Helldump and LF guy. The Fiads were anathema to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Leo is eventually going to be starting up his own thing. So
Right,
maybe I would join their podcast or something. No, yeah, I'd just be like a Ronin kind of thing. I just go around to all the different podcasts and be like, hey, do you guys want to talk about co-ops for 40 minutes or something like that? And then they'll be like, no, we were going to talk about like drugs or something. I'll be like, oh, well, whatever.
Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
If you went to Guantanamo, Tom, I would disavow any knowledge of you, just so you know.
That's fine. I understand. That's what my family tells me too.
Yeah. Don, you should do a Harold and Kumar go to Guantanamo Bay, though. One of the most ridiculous ideas for a sequel ever.
I like those movies. Those are fun. Even the one where they like hang out with George Bush or whatever. I don't know.
They go political with the second Harold and Kumar movie.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of did, yeah. And now, like, I forget which. I guess it would be Kumar's the Indian one. He's like a big like Democrat lib guy now.
Yeah.
And the other guy, I don't know what he's doing, math problems or something.
Yeah. Well, he had a show called I think it was called Selfie or something, or it was something along those lines. Like It was like. I actually really enjoyed it because it was just so bad. It was just so funny, but it was just so cheesy. But that made me think of another sequel, which is just so a Hot Tub Time Machine 2. Have either of you seen that one?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It's funny. Not the second one.
The second one is funny just because it's like making fun of the idea of having a sequel to it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what you would, you kind of get that. You're like, okay, well, it is absurd that they would make a sequel to Hot Tub Time Machine, so it is going to be kind of silly that they did this. But they take it like to just such an extreme, absurd, like confusing extent that it's almost like they're just making fun of the audience for showing up. And
yeah,
I like
that's
that.
what I enjoyed about it.
So it was good that way. I don't know. I was like for maybe about 20 or 30 minutes into it, I was like, this is just one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And then as it kept getting worse, I was like, this is actually pretty good because it's punishing me for doing this. So, yeah.
Yeah. The best movie like that, I think, was the Anchorman sequel.
Yeah.
That was just really... If you just think about all the people that were like quoting Anchorman stuff all the time, like just the most lowest common denominator, like normie type people who were like into that movie, and then the sequel is like, it was like dark. I don't really remember much specifically about it, but they were just like old. It was all about them like just being old and like sad and stuff like that. I don't know. I just thought that was pretty awesome that they really like leaned into that. They didn't throw a bone at all to people. Like it was just like, yeah, this is this is probably how these people would turn out, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
All right, so let's end on this one. I think this is a very appropriate comment after having had this conversation with you, Goat. It says, a lot of this podcast reminds me of myself. Years ago, I suffered a severe traumatic event that left me with major depression. During this period, I threw myself into books searching for meaning. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just, why does that remind you of me? Go on. Sorry.
It doesn't remind you of me. Just I think it's appropriate after the conversations we've had.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so during this period, I threw myself into books searching for meaning. I voraciously read religion, politics, philosophy, and economics. For a long time, perhaps 2 years, I dedicated myself fully to Roman Christianity. And for a while, the major schools of Islam really did almost grab my heart and soul. However, as Malik el-Shabazz brilliantly knew, what is good for the white man is bad for Islam and vice versa. So for 8 years now, my soul has found soil in its own blood to dedicate oneself, being European, to the great themes and spiritual practices of the white race is the only road to interior peace. Ours, the most beautiful race, is facing its biggest challenge ever, and we need brave soldiers to reproduce both our kin and our unique and incredible Faustian mindset. So that's a run-on sentence, sir. I think you need to, throw me a bone here. Throw some periods in there or something.
I actually really enjoyed that because at least it wasn't just them yelling at you to, not be a race traitor or whatever they normally say. So,
yeah,
I don't know. That
he's
was actually,
evolving.
There were a bunch of words there instead of just like a few sentences of just screaming or something. So, normally we have like a Nazi guy or something that writes in, and I don't know, there was some sort of Adam Waffen guy or something too, and I don't know. This is I feel like maybe he's making progress. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I like that he seems to really kind of get us. This is really what we're all about here. So
I would tell him that being white is not a religious practice, which is good because religion is false. So embrace your whiteness. Not really.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Goat. And thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. I enjoy spending time with you guys.
Yeah, well, I don't know, maybe one time once Justin lets me over the border or something, be able to meet up one day in the far future or something. So, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I enjoy the show. I enjoy being invited on, and yes.
Okay, guys, if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like a second episode every week, you can subscribe to our Patreon, and you will get that, as well as access to our Discord, where you can chat with us in our lovely community. If you want to send us an anonymous question, you can do that by going to the Twitter account, which is @YouCanWinPod, and you'll find a Curious Cat link posted there, and you can send in anonymous questions, or like Goat, you can send us slash fic of me and Dawn doing stuff that we shouldn't be doing. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you again next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.